poppin', y'all? It's your boy, Guard3, and welcome to Coffee and Sports, the morning show. Of course, as you can see, joining me this morning on this great day, we have the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. How you doing, sir?
You can't see me. I'm not here. No, I'm great. I'm in a great mood. Great. I'll say this funny thing. Monday Night Raw was better than the main event of night 2.
It absolutely was, actually. That Monday Night Raw was fantastic. And of course, also joining us on this great morning, he is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
Doing great on a wonderful Wednesday. I agree with Gene's sentiments to the T. I thought the Raw after Mania, which is normally a regular show, but it was terrific. So much better than the main event. So many great surprises. Let's go. Let's get into it.
So, you know what? Y'all brought up the main event of WrestleMania already, so let's kind of start there because, well, I don't really want to talk about who was there at the main event of WrestleMania. Why don't we start at who wasn't at the main event of WrestleMania? The great one, The Rock. He didn't show up to WrestleMania, but he made time to show up on the Pat McAfee show. And he had some very interesting things to say, including giving us the reason why he didn't show up in the main event. So, saying that, oh, well, I just wanted to keep the spotlight on John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And among other things, he said how this whole Sell Your Soul storyline came about is because they called him to save ticket sales for the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, like apparently he was selling Battleground 2019 numbers. I gotta ask you guys, did you see that Pat McAfee and The Rock interview? And if so, what do you guys think? Because I think, honestly, it just made The Rock look terrible.
Mo, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah. Okay. Look, I didn't watch it live. I watched it later because I really didn't care to hear what he had to say initially. He didn't say anything that surprised me. We are talking about a narcissist / egomaniac. So what I didn't believe a word he said, because the whole point of the confronting Cody and saying, be my champion, I want your soul and all that, I get it. And of course, he revealed in the conversation that the idea initially was to turn Cody, but Triple H came with the idea to turn Cena. My problem with that is you put yourself into that storyline. You're the final boss. You put yourself into that storyline. Cena does turn at the Chamber, and then you're not part of it anymore. And the way the storyline was going, it dictates that you're somehow involved in that. And your excuse is, I wanted to step away because I wanted to make it about Cody Rhodes and John Cena's characters. I just don't buy that. Like, just from a storyline point of view, that doesn't make any sense. Even if you wanted to be in the background, you started that whole thing. You should have been part of WrestleMania, even if it was a small part. To me, that was just a weak excuse. He sounded more like a politician than anything else, and that was disappointing.
So I love Pat McAfee, right? I'm a big Pat McAfee guy. I think Pat McAfee does a great job of finding egomaniac narcissists to throw on his show. Who's his weekly guest that he has on every Tuesday? Oh, by the way, you'll probably be wearing his jersey tomorrow night.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
So the same thing goes for Aaron Rodgers and goes for The Rock. Like, these guys are just absolute egomaniacs. Like, you're telling me the WWE during its greatest era ever right now, with the Netflix era, with everything cooking, was calling you up and they're like, yeah, we're really struggling to sell tickets. We're not really selling the Elimination Chamber, one of John Cena's final matches. It's just not really working out. dude, he's so full of shit, and it's absolutely embarrassing. And like, you're talking about a guy that loved The Rock coming up. I loved The Rock. I thought he was hilarious. Honestly, I love heel Rock. I think heel Rock is one of the best. Like, I think that, him being the final boss is actually a really cool, gimmick. But dude, stop making everything about yourself. You didn't need to show up. And it wasn't even his idea to turn Cena heel. His idea was to turn Cody heel, not Cena. So, like, what happens in his alter mindset? He's like, we were going to turn Cena heel at WrestleMania. Okay. So what was if you were having Cody sell his soul to you, that means he would have been heel, and then Cena would have turned heel against him at Mania, and then you'd have heel versus heel. Shut up. You're just really annoying. And then have Travis Scott with the long walkout. And I can't, it bothered me so much how much they ruined the main event of WrestleMania. I think that night one's main event was incredible. I think that Monday Night Raw's main event and what happened at the end was incredible. What they did on night two, and the way The Rock made it all about himself. Like, you weren't stealing the shine from John Cena. I got news for you, Rock. In the WWE universe, John Cena's bigger than you are. He just is. Like, I'm annoyed at how Rock makes everything about himself.
Yeah, that it was just kind of weird because in a way too, and if like I were Triple H watching that interview, I'd have been kind of pissed because in a way they it's almost like he's him trying to say like, oh, I just saved the Elimination Chamber. You kind of throw creative under the bus, like, yeah, they're not doing their job selling tickets. Triple H over there ain't doing his job selling tickets, so I had to come in and save the day. Yeah, it's so weird, and it's just so unfortunate that if The Rock really wanted to make this whole thing about John Cena and Cody Rhodes, like, you can still show up at Elimination Chamber if you really want to and just not get involved in John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and keep the spotlight on them. Like, you could have just showed up and said, welcome to the Elimination Chamber. Hope you guys have fun. And it still would have sold tickets regardless. He's still a draw. So you could just tell that it was just all kind of just BS. He got himself involved into the main event. And yet, the thing with Travis Scott, too, like, once he got involved at the Elimination Chamber, you knew he was getting involved at some point in the main event of WrestleMania. Just, if he was going to do that, just have him do a run-in from behind. Like, you didn't need to play his music and have him take 5 minutes to walk down to the ring, because that just nuked the flow of the match. Like, at that point, you're just like, well, haven't seen them wrestle, and John Cena did take the time to raise Travis Scott's hand when he gets to the ring. I'm like, is this match about John Cena and Cody, or is this Travis Scott? Like,
it was so dumb. It was so dumb because his long walk to the ring, both wrestlers were watching him walk to the ring rather than compete against each other. That's how long he took to get to the ring. That didn't make any sense at all. If you wanted to have anybody interfere, then you should have had a talent to know how to handle that moment, interfere. That was stupid. It ruined, honestly, what I thought was a better match than I thought it would be, because it was methodical, but because it was methodical, it was to Cena's pace. It was selling me on the story, and then they ruined it with Travis Scott.
Yeah, so
I was just annoyed with it. I really believe that night 2 of WrestleMania last year ruined this year's, because we expected so much more. Like, I remember in the pre-show we were talking about, like, I mean, The Rock and Stone Cold and who will be the other man that joins their faction. It was nothing. It was literally just Travis Scott. And the storyline sell of Cody just falling for it. Don't hit me with the bell. Don't do it. All right, I won't hit you with the bell. And then getting kicked in the nuts. Like, I don't know, man. It was just like, I get you're trying to sell Cody as this gullible, like, face, and you're eventually going to turn him. I get it. But I was embarrassed for the WWE for having. And by the way, night 2's card with night 1's main event would have been one of the greatest nights of WrestleMania history.
And you know, it's funny. I think that just night 2's main event without Travis Scott, if they let that play out, like that probably just makes it one of the better nights like we've seen in a while. It's so funny just how opposite night 1 and 2 were. Like night 1, weaker undercard that was propped up by the main event. Night 2, the main event was just propped up by a very strong undercard. So it just flip flopped so like weirdly. You know what? Overall, it's unfortunate because a lot of people are just going to remember the ending. That's how a lot of people remember pay-per-views. So I thought overall WrestleMania did have a lot of good moments. It was a good time. But unfortunately now people are just going to associate it with that ending with Travis Scott and John Cena. So it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, I thought WrestleMania was actually pretty solid this year. I thought there's a lot of good.
But it wasn't better than 40. It wasn't better than 39.
No.
And so what you compare it to is recent memory. And if you're talking about in the Triple H era, like 39 was partially the Triple H era, 40, 100% was the Triple H era. Out of those three, you have to rank this one third.
Oh, absolutely.
And I thought Triple H did a smart thing. I think he realized that it was a little underwhelming. So I thought he compensated by making Raw bigger than ever, like with all the surprises and the different matches, like that. It was like a makeup for that ending to that WrestleMania, and he did a great job of that.
I'm looking forward to John Cena versus Randy Orton, at Backlash in a couple weeks. But that is just going to be the most like hilariously slowest paced match you'll ever see. That's going to be a match, by the way. I'll say this right now. Don't expect anything like a technical masterclass. That's going to be a match that's straight nostalgia and great visuals. It's going to be fun, but it's also going to be the slowest paced match you'll ever see. Those two worked at a slow pace when John Cena was a good guy and he would, run and do all of his moves at a really faster pace. Heel John Cena working with Randy Orton, it's going to be great, but it's going to be the slowest thing we've ever seen. It's going to be fantastic. I would honestly make it a no disqualification match.
Yeah, it's going to be more of a brawl than a wrestling match. I agree.
So, and I did want to ask you guys too. How did you guys like the ending of Raw? I thought it was fantastic with Seth Rollins' new faction.
So I thought that they're going to make a play on Evolution, and I think it's going to be called Revolution, like the Revolutionary with Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins is finally getting the push he deserves. You want to talk about the company guy that is the best wrestler in the company. I'm sorry. Like, you have a guy that is incredible on the mic, that's incredible in the ring, that can have a good match with a wet paper towel, and he does everything that's best for the company. I'm finally going to get my Seth Rollins push with Paul Heyman, with Braun Breaker, and I think they're going to add at least one or two more members to that faction. And, we talked about Bianca with the heel turn, and, I guess the good heel turn was the Becky Lynch, but I'll say this, right? She's an egomaniac too. How she gets a tag team title on WrestleMania, and they knew they were going to lose it the next night. They knew they couldn't continue as tag team partners. Like, you could have easily had them lose at WrestleMania and then Becky make that heel turn at WrestleMania instead of having that match on 2 nights. Becky wanted her WrestleMania moment. And if I'm Bayley, I hand in my 2-week warning. I'm leaving. I'm gone. What they did to screw her over was disgusting. Oh, Becky Lynch wants to be in the main event. And it's funny because there's an interview with with Bayley talking about, I came in the same time as Becky. I came in the same time as Charlotte, but I don't see myself on that level. And look, I'll say it right now. Bayley is more of a company person, and I'm not a big fan of Bayley. I've never been a fan of Bayley, but I'll say this. She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve, Becky wants to come back, so we're just going to put Becky in the match. And we're gonna have you attacked and you'll be fine the next night. Like I hated that egomaniac move also. But I will say this: I think Becky joins her husband in that faction, and I think you'll get at least another superstar in that faction. And I'll tell you, there's a really big spot for Finn Balor.
Yeah, I actually agree. I'm not saying it's gonna be Balor, but it'll be a great spot for him if they choose Balor. But I do agree. I think Becky's going to join her husband. Becky's going to probably take Lyra's belt from her, and then eventually pursue one of the heavyweight championships. I'm wondering who's going to be the fourth guy, because there's going to be a fourth guy. I just don't know who it's going to be.
I love the Karrion Kross promo, Chris. And I don't think it's a promo either. I think that was absolutely him talking about what happened with Joe Hendry and how like he's constantly being overlooked. And I love, but he will not join that faction because they already have two incredible mouthpieces. And what Karrion Kross is known for is how good of a mouthpiece he is. So like, I don't think he'd be that extra member. I will say this: they did a really good job of teasing Sami Zayn. And I think Sami Zayn turning heel against Jey Uso to help Seth Rollins win the World Heavyweight Championship might be where you see that next heel turn.
That part I 1000% can see happening, because I believe, I don't know if it's going to be the next pay-per-view or one after, but Seth Rollins is going to take Jey Uso's belt.
Yep.
No, I would absolutely love that. I think the Jey Uso title reign, we're here for a good time, not a long time. I don't think he's holding on to it that long.
It's a great line.
So I would love it if Seth took his title, give him like a month or two, maybe at like Money in the Bank. You can have Seth beat him for it. That'd give Jey a solid like 2-month title reign. And yeah, I love the Killer Cross work, or Karrion. That was actually just a fantastic bit. I'm hoping that, you know, they really make him a main event player off of that and just kind of at least build off that. And with Bayley, it's really unfortunate because she did have that interview too, like you mentioned, with Chris Van Fleet, and she like alluded to what was going to happen at WrestleMania. Yep. And she sounded so upset and like sad about it. And it's really unfortunate because I do enjoy Bayley. And I just hated seeing her get almost just so down, just bringing up WrestleMania. Like, oh, that should have been her moment. Honestly,
I don't like Bayley as a wrestler. I don't think she's a good wrestler. I don't think she's a good mouthpiece. I think she's a great company woman. I think that she needs to take more of a role. And I think she needs to be rebranded again, in my opinion. But I think Bayley as the heel is a lot better than Bayley the face. Yeah, and I'll take it a step further. I think Bayley can learn and take a page from the women's U.S. champion. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I'm still waking up.
Oh, it's Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green. I feel like she could take a page from that. Be a great mid-level card. Help put people over. I don't think she's a main eventer. I think when you see the main eventers, you see like people that have the athleticism, Charlotte and Tiffany, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley. They're all on another level than where Bayley's at, in my opinion.
I'd say, honestly, if I were booking Bayley, I think I would turn her heel after WrestleMania. I don't know, like, if you haven't seen it, and almost the way I'd go about it too, if anybody hasn't seen the Joey Styles promo after WrestleMania, there's an old announcer, Joey Styles, and he turns heel because he wasn't on the WrestleMania card, but he also doesn't get on the Backlash card, or ironically, as being an announcer, and he cuts this whole like impassioned promo saying, yeah, I got cut from WrestleMania, I can live with that, but I got bumped from Backlash? I'm not good enough to call Backlash? And I would honestly not book Bayley on the card for Backlash and have her go nuts about it. About how, you know, she got screwed over at WrestleMania. And just kind of in the same vein as that, I got bumped from Backlash Joey Styles promo. If you've never seen it, it's a fantastic work. And honestly, I think something like that could really kind of fuel Bailey right now, of her just getting sick of being passed over on all of her opportunities. So I would honestly turn her heel sooner rather than later.
I like her as a heel. I'm with Gene. I like her where she can build up the mid card and she can dominate there as a heel. I think that would rebrand her and give her career a shot in the arm. She could be more relevant there. And I'm with Gene. I think she's always been more of a company performer, and that's not a bad thing. But there's just levels to it. I don't think of her the same way I think of Rhea and Tiffy and Bianca. I think she's a good performer, but I think there's levels to it. I think mid card, and there's no shame in that because you can win belts in the mid card, but I think she can bolster the mid card in a different run in her career.
Yeah.
Say Roxanne and Julia coming up did that was fantastic. And Stephanie Vakir.
She's amazing. She is amazing.
Yeah. Overall, like Triple H really got in his bag and booked a fantastic Monday Night Raw. And I'm super excited to see SmackDown. You know, I'll try to tune in. Obviously, I'll be in Green Bay at the time, but I'll still try to tune into SmackDown.
I know the draft's coming up soon, but can we admit, I mean, I think that they'll end up being tag team champions because I think they finally found the right niche. But can we admit last year's number one overall pick was an absolute trash number one pick, being Carmelo Hayes? Like, this was a bad year for Carmelo Hayes. I think they finally are starting to hit it. I love the Mellow Don't Miz. I love that tag team. And can we give Miz his flowers? My man does everything he can for that company to put people over, to put people in good spots. Like, can we give him his flowers? Like, they wanted him to help Karrion Kross. He helped Karrion Kross. They wanted him to help R-Truth. He helped R-Truth. They wanted him to turn heel to help. Like, there's just a million different things this man. They wanted to get him involved with the Wyatt Six. He got involved with the Wyatt Six. And now they see a guy in Carmelo Hayes that is struggling, going from the undercard to the main roster. And now I think they'll be tag team champions. I think they'll eventually take out the Street Profits.
Yeah, I've always had a lot of respect for what the Miz has done. Especially if I wasn't a fan before, him and his work with the Intercontinental title, especially in like 2016 in his feud with Dolph Ziggler, absolutely won me over. And his feud with Daniel Bryan, where he went off on him on Talking Smack, like the Miz is just. He's so good on the microphone and he's so like consistent in the ring. Like, you know what you're going to get from him. And he's just willing to do whatever the company needs. And at the end of the day, he's somebody that absolutely deserves his flowers. And he's going to go down as, you know, easy Hall of Famer and one of the all-time. I think he's going to go down as one of the all-time great mid-card guys with all of his IC title reigns and tag team title reigns. Like, just a fantastic talent overall.
I think he knows
100%.
he knows his lane, and he's played it for almost 20 years. He stayed in his lane. He's had a great career being dominant and relevant, pushing other people up at the mid-card level. And we don't talk about mid-card guys like that, but we should. He's been the ultimate company guy, and he can sell you on him being a face or a heel, and it works. Miz can do comic relief. He can be deadly serious. Like, he's as versatile as there is, and yet he still knows where his lane is, where his bread is buttered. He's a great, great mid-card performer.
Completely agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, good morning, Key. How's it going? But
Morning,
yeah, no,
Key.
it really is unfortunate with Carmelo because it just feels like he's just not clicking. It's really unfortunate. Like, he was a first rounder, but at this point, he's starting to feel like, hey, guys, the Jaguars just drafted Trayvon Walker in the first round. Like, you know, he's solid, but he's not the number one pick you thought he was going to be. So I'm hoping he turns it around soon and they figure it out. Obviously, the tag team with The Miz, I think that's a great start to slowly build him back up.
Right.
And, well, I'm excited to see where it goes from there. I can't tell, John, if you're picking on my Milwaukee Bucks or the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm assuming
Nah, he's picking
My-
on your Bucks, bro.
It's-
It's a good transition.
It's your Bucks.
Yeah.
And the door is closed.
Must win in Game 3, Milwaukee Bucks. It's been unfortunate to watch these first two games. I'm so mad at so many people on that basketball team right now. Like, obviously, everybody's talking about, Kyle Kuzma just being a terrible basketball player. And I told everybody he was that when we traded for him. But, also, I think this all just starts with the guy in charge. Hey, Doc Rivers, that lineup that got blasted by 15 points in 4 minutes in game 1. You know what you probably shouldn't do? You probably just shouldn't run the same lineup back. And hey, guess what? They got blasted by another 15 points in 4 minutes. It's ugly and it's so frustrating to watch. And Doc's talking about, we need to make the adjustments in game 3. I thought you should have made adjustments in game 2. We clearly need to play Kuzma less. He's a liability. He can't play with Giannis. But now it comes down to me having to try to sell myself on, don't worry, Doc Rivers is going to make the right adjustments. And I'm not buying that that's going to happen. I try to remain somewhat delusional about the Bucks, but I'm not sold that we're going to see the proper adjustments in game 3.
I'll just say this. If anybody should be fired, you probably should fire your GM. You probably should fire your GM. What they did is they lost to Boston in 2 tough series, and they made a panic move. They went out and got Damian Lillard thinking, because Dame can give you 30 on a given night, we're going to be better than when we were with Drew. Dame's going to elevate us. I'm not anti Damian Lillard, but I didn't think that was a great trade. I thought that was you've well documented. I know you are. But I didn't think they were going to be better for it. Sometimes chemistry just matters. It does. And there's ways you can impact winning without putting up 30 points, which is what Drew Holiday does. I think the Lillard trade not only helps shut the door on the current version of the Bucks, it puts them in disarray in the future because they don't have a lot of draft picks. They don't have a lot of draft capital. And you're getting ready to go into an offseason where both Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis are going to hit free agency. And I don't know if you want to bring Brook back. And Brook's been good for you, but he's also bad for you because he's a part of your problem. You're an old, slow team. He's one of the oldest, slowest players on your team. And Bobby Portis is probably one of the streakiest players in the NBA. Last night, he looked terrific. In game 3, probably not so much. I don't look at the Bucks roster construction and go, they need to just tweak something and they'll be title contenders again. I look at it as they're closer to a rebuild than a title run.
You want the good news or the bad news first, Brett?
I like to start out with the bad news.
All right. So the bad news is this, right? You have Doc Rivers, who's absolutely going to blame everyone but himself. You have a GM that's been making the worst possible moves. And what's that? That's my victory lap when I told everybody that Damian Lillard was an awful trade piece for the Milwaukee Bucks. I've said this from the beginning. I like Dame, right? People don't think I like Dame. I like Dame. I think Dame was great to be a star on a shitty team or to be a complimentary player on a team that preaches defense first, that can allow him to be an offensive guard that shoots and is streaky. He cannot be the second option on a championship team. He's not that good. And people compared him. I never forget the arguments I've gotten into with Cottrell. Cottrell, I hope you're listening. Chris Paul's career is going to end a lot better than Damian Lillard's. Just calling it like it is. But let's take this step one further. Here's the good news. In this time next week, we'll be talking about a 2-2 series because the Milwaukee Bucks will get back in this series at home. Damian Lillard will play better. Bobby Portis. Role players play better at home. Kyle Kuzma will shoot better at home. And we'll forget that we had this issue come game 5. They'll end up losing the series because Doc Rivers will blow something because that's who Doc Rivers is. But when it's 2-2, we're going to hear, I'm just predicting this, Sunday, when it's 2-2, I'm going to hear everybody, oh, the Bucks are back, and can they make a run? And Doc Rivers, you guys left me for dead. This is where I'm at. And you're going to hear all that bullshit that's going to happen Sunday when the series is tied to 2-2. I told you, Drew Holiday is better for a team. Drew Holiday was perfect for that team. Unselfish guard that can put up 20 if he needs to, that will get Giannis the ball, that will play great defense on the perimeter. You have Giannis who can protect the rim. They had defenders at multiple levels. Bobby Portis is not a bad defender. You had guys that could play on multiple levels, and the Milwaukee Bucks absolutely screwed that up. They screwed it up. And I'm telling you right now, the Pacers will find a way to screw up a couple games in this series too. But I'm taking my victory lap for Dame Lillard. If he wants to get a championship, tell him to go and you know, this is going to sound awful. This is going to sound terrible. Go play the Peyton Pritchard role in Boston if you want a championship, because that's exactly what he is relegated to in this point of his career. Sorry.
Look, as a basketball fan, I hope the Bucks get back into this series. But watching the first two games, the Pacers are so confident against the Bucks, they're overconfident. They're trash talking them. They're being openly disrespectful in their faces. And we started out before the series. It's going to be about pace. It's going to be about pace. It's going to be about pace. And the Bucks cannot slow the Pacers down. Even now, even in the half court set, Indiana's playing fast and they're spreading the Bucks out and attacking them. I don't know how the Bucks get back in the series. Like, I hope Gene's right. I don't think they're going to win both games in Milwaukee. I just don't think they have enough firepower. And I don't know what condition Damian Lillard is, because he hadn't been able to work out. I have to believe that he's going to continue to be somewhat rusty. And let's be honest, even when he's 100%, he's a defensive liability. So I don't know if they might get better offensively, but they're not going to get any better defensively.
Yeah, no, I'd say at the end of the day, that's what I'm hoping for. Home crowd gets the Bucks back into it. You know, even this thing up at 2-2. It's not going to be easy. You know, I'm still confident in our guys. If we can win Game 3, that'll give me all the confidence in the world that we can, you know, get back into the series. But also, I feel like I think the key is simple. We've just been starting slow. And, you know, that I think a lot of that just has to fall on. I think a lot of that just falls on Doc Rivers again. I get it. The guys have to go out there and play basketball. But you saw this lineup didn't work in Game 1. Okay, you know, normally you go, let's tweak it. And then you can run the same thing out there, and the same thing happens in Game 2. I'm like, okay, like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And, you know, it's funny, like, one guy that I wish I could see a little more of, ironically, is Pat Connaughton. I don't think that Pat Connaughton would flip a series, to be clear. But after Chris Middleton, the guy with the next best chemistry on the team, even better than Drew at times with Giannis, was Pat Connaughton. And he played himself into a nice rhythm in the second half of the season, as evident by going for 43, 10, and 5 against the Pistons in the last game of the season. I just can't believe we saw that, and then we just didn't give him a chance. Instead, we're just like, yeah, Kuzma, go do cardio in Game 1. And the way Game 2 started was abysmal. Just, Dame's back. I'm thinking we're going to draw up a play to start the game with Dame. You know, get Giannis cooking. Now he drew up something for Kuzma, who proceeded to just throw that thing off the backboard as hard as he could. So at the end of the day,
I'm glad they gave Gary Trent 30 minutes, though. He definitely deserved it.
Yeah, I hope we re-sign him. He's been fantastic. He's been a great piece.
I was being sarcastic, bro. He was terrible in that game.
Initially, I thought that was a good signing, but he has been inconsistent throughout the season. I'm just looking at an old team playing against a young team, and the young team seems like they can turn it on whenever they feel like it. Like I said, when you're being openly disrespectful to a team, you don't fear them at all. The Pacers are really good in this fact. They're like, Giannis can get 35, he can get 45. The rest of them ain't gonna do nothing. They're not worried about nobody else. He can get up his numbers, but I don't think it matters unless the other guys impact the game as well. The Pacers are owning them. I don't know. I really don't believe they're going to win both games in Milwaukee. I just don't think they have enough to win both games. Giannis could go for 50, and I think the Pacers will still win.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see, game 3 in Milwaukee, but at least I can hang my hat on. We don't look like the worst team in the playoffs right now because the Memphis Grizzlies.
There it is.
Smoked by OKC.
Don't get me started.
This was before the series started. I was like, I think that the OKC are a nightmare matchup for Memphis because they have so much versatility and they can attack and exploit their weaknesses so well. And that has absolutely come to fruition. This series, they've gotten 2 bad Shea offensive games back to back. And the best they can do is lose by 19. I think it feels like they've already given up. And that's going to be hard to come back from. I don't think they can even come back to win one game at this point. They just look dead out there.
Between Shea and Ja, they missed 34 shots. I just didn't. When I was watching that game, I'm like, is it the Bricklayers Union? I'm just trying to understand, what was going on. It was Shea just kept throwing stuff up, open for fouls, and it's not going to happen in the playoffs, man. And I'll go back to what Mo said. Mo said this very, very the Oklahoma City Thunder have a game in the regular season that transitions very well to the regular season. In the playoffs, when the physicality gets up there, I don't know. Now, they look great because everybody else in that team has stepped up. I want to see how they look on the road when role players don't play as well on the road and they're not getting the calls. Shea's not getting the superstar calls that he's used to all year. I know what I'll get from Hartenstein. I know I'll get effort. I know what I'll get from Caruso.
Right.
I don't know what I'm going to get from Lou Dort. I don't know what I'm going to get from Chet Holmgren. I don't know what I'm going to get from Jalen Williams. I don't know. But that series is cool. We ain't got to worry about that series.
Look, the Thunder are really good at front running. When they're beating you down, they look dominant. My problem in that series, it isn't that the Thunder are a good team. It's that Memphis is so bad. It's that
terribly coached.
Right. Terribly coached, but also maybe their talent is overrated. And I've said that for the longest. I feel about Ja Morant the same way you feel about Damian Lillard. I feel like Ja Morant is more of a highlight reel than an actual a player of substance. To me, Ja Morant is a modern day Vince Carter. He's going to wow you, but he's going to disappear when it matters most. He's not a leader. I think he's vastly overrated. We were doing one of your favorite things, Gene. We were doing Ja Morant because I think he's overrated. And if you go down as a franchise player and you went through every division and you said Ja Morant more times than not, you're going to take the other guy. He's not that dude. He just isn't.
So I think Ja Morant can be the best second player in the NBA. On a good coach team with a good leader. I agree 100%. As a leader, he's awful. As the best player on your team, he has the talent. He's not the leader. And it's a problem. You're factual, Mo. Nothing that you said was inaccurate. I've been a fan of Ja's talent. But something that always stands out to me is with these guys like Dame and these guys like Ja, why are they going to mid-tier schools in college? Why? There's a reason they're not recruited by the Coach K's. There's a reason that they're not recruited. I'll stop. My point being is I agree with you, Mo, but I don't think his storybook is written. I think if you put him with a really good coach, the problem in the NBA is this. A lot of the good coaches get ran out of town by superstar players. And if you put him with a very good coach and a good leader, a good locker room leader, I felt like if you would have put him with 33-year-old LeBron, he would have developed to be what Kyrie is. Like, obviously not the same game, but he would develop. And I think that there's a lot of different situations that you look at in the NBA where players lack good coaching, players lack good leadership on the court. I think Ja's one of those players.
Yeah, and look, I'm not telling anybody that he's not talented, but I think that sometimes we get into the conversation about their talent, and we forget how the talent is applied. So yes, he's talented, but how it's actually applied on the court, he's overrated.
Yeah,
I can freely say this, and knowing I won't be proven wrong. He can't be the best player on a title-winning team. He can't. He's not. He's very good. And I know people are like, that's crazy. Like, it's not. The truth of the matter is, if you go by name recognition, John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., their core three should be as good or better than Oklahoma City's core three, but you don't see it translate on the court. And yes, some of that is coaching, but some of that is intangibles and lack of self-awareness on the court by the players. Jaren Jackson Jr., as talented as he is, you can't be a power forward and only average 6 rebounds a game. What are you doing? 6 rebounds a game. That's what he averages. John Morant, for all his incredible athleticism, he's not a good defender. He'll give you a highlight reel block, but watch the games. Always out of position, always getting picked off by picks. He doesn't have natural defensive instincts. He's not a point guard. He is a 2 guard masked as a point guard, but he doesn't shoot well enough to really hurt you. I think you could put him with a great coach. I don't think a great coach would make him a championship player. What he needs is he needs to play with somebody who's better than him. He needs to be a number 2. Like you said, he could be a Kyrie. The problem is, how do you make that happen? How do you put a John Morant with someone who's better than him? Especially in a small market like Memphis, you don't. That's never going to happen. And if they hold on to him, they will always be good enough to make the playoffs, but they're never going to go anywhere beyond the first round.
Yep.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's fair enough. And when it comes to Jaren Jackson, it's funny. I always find it funny when they'll be like, "Oh, why is Zach Edey playing so much? Zach Edey this, Zach Edey that." Why do you think Zach Edey's out there? It's mainly because Jaren Jackson can't grab a rebound, so they need somebody out there who can. But it's so funny. I was just about to talk about this series next. So he could go to the.
We got to talk about the other series that happened last night.
Oh, hey,
I don't want to miss that. I don't want to miss that because, look, it happened last night. It's 1-1.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But say he could go to the Knicks and go further and be the second best player on that team. Say him on the Knicks would actually just be hilarious. I don't know how well that even like someone like Tibbs could do with the front court of Jalen Brunson and John Morant. That would just get picked apart on defense.
That wouldn't work at all. That can't
not work.
Yeah, I don't think that would work very well, but yeah. So Wolves, Lakers tie it up 1-1. Did you want to go first talking about this series, Mo, or do you want to go last? I know this is your team, so
I'll make it quick. G might have more to say. The Lakers are lucky the series is 1-1. They're lucky it's 1-1. They didn't play well. They had a great first quarter, but if you look at the game, that game was there to be had. And going into this series, my only fear was that Anthony Edwards would do what he could do with his talent and establish himself as the best player in that series. And he hasn't done that. He hasn't been bad in the first 2 games, but he hasn't been special. And if he's not going to be special, there's no way the Wolves are going to win the series. If he's going to be what he's been the first 2 games, 23 points, 5-5, shooting 40% from the field, I don't care how ugly it is, the Lakers will win the series. They can almost get whatever shot they want. They're just not shooting well, and they're literally playing Rudy Gobert off the floor. Every action they involve him in. And the crazy part is the Lakers are getting what they want, and the Timberwolves defense overall is still good. What's killing the Timberwolves is their offense. I told everybody, you're not going to rely on Nas Reed and Jaden McDaniels to get 48 points. That's because that's not who they are. Then they come back in game 2. They're actually worse than what they normally are. If Nas Reed and Jaden McDaniels had just average games, the Timberwolves win going away. The Lakers are very lucky it's 1-1. At the way this is playing out, I joke about it being Lakers in 5. The way this is playing out, this is going to be a 7-game series, and that's scary if you're a Lakers fan.
I mean, Mo, you could talk about Ant's divorce court or his child support or LeBron's on life support. Lakers in 5. Look, I'll say this. They've been pretty low-scoring games, right? I don't think LeBron's played his best game in this series, and I think he was better in game 2 than he was in game 1. I think Luka was a lot better in game 2 than he was in game 1. And I think that JJ Redick was a lot better in game 2 than they were in game 1. The one comment that kind of like annoyed me after game 1 is when JJ Redick said we weren't ready for their physicality, caught us off guard. How? Like, how did you go into a playoff series not ready for Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels and all these guys on that team, like Mike Conley, Nas Reed, Dante DiVincenzo? How are you not ready for their physicality? What did you expect? What? But I'll say this. The Lakers defense was a lot better last night than it was in game 1. And if their defense continues to over-rotate, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I would love for Minnesota to win this series. But part of me wants very badly for one last time, one curtain call of the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers. Give me Steph LeBron one more time. I think the Lakers will be fine, though.
I'm signing up for that.
I think the Lakers will be fine. I just think that what you're looking at with Anthony Edwards is a guy that it can take over, can be one of the best players, but he just doesn't seem to be ready for it in the playoffs yet.
I agree. I keep waiting for that moment where he realizes, like, you know what? Nobody on here on the floor can actually guard me. He settles for way too many deep contested jump shots.
Facts.
With that talent, with that ability, Anthony Edwards should be shooting 10 to 12 free throws a game alone if he just committed to attacking the basket, and he's yet to do that.
You know what's funny too? I was very confident in the Lakers yesterday. As soon as it saw that report that before the game, and of course they had the video of Anthony Edwards going through the Lakers warm-ups just to go and starts trash talking Luka pregame. I get it, you want to be confident, but also at the same time, like, why are you just firing up Luka? Like, isn't that just kind of what you want to avoid doing? So I saw that. I'm like, Luka's about to have a legacy game, isn't he? And
lessons that are not learned in blood are lessons not learned. Anthony Edwards did this last year. Versus Dallas. He goes, we got the Mavericks. I got Kyrie. And then the first game, Kyrie Irving went out. Anthony Edwards like, shit, I probably shouldn't ask for that. Because Kyrie went in his bag. And there are a couple guys in this league that you don't need to give extra motivation. And Luka's one of them. Can we go back to when he made Devin Booker look like an absolute child on the court? I don't know why you would do that. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. Like, that man's a killer offensively. Defensively, I feel like he's wearing ice skates, but offensively, he's a killer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to go fire him up intentionally, because that hasn't worked out for anybody.
2 years in a row, Brett. He did it last year to Kyrie. Because I got Kyrie. Why would you say that? Shut up. Like,
Or if you're gonna say it, back it up with your play. Like I'm good with trash talking, but then that means Anthony Edwards, you got to go out there and get 40. Like you got to
Mo,
be that dude. You got to be that dude.
Mo, there's not a player in the world that can back up the trash talk that Anthony Edwards had. No one in the world can guard Kyrie one-on-one.
No,
I'm not saying Kyrie's the best player in the world.
Right.
I'm saying that he has a bigger bag than anyone in basketball, and it's not close.
Oh, I don't disagree. I think Kyrie Irving is the most skilled player that ever played in the NBA.
I agree. There we go. We're on the same page.
Yeah, you know what? Man, him saying I got Kyrie, you'd make me think that he was getting interviewed by Tyler Rooks again. Everybody talks crazy with her, but
yeah,
it's still my favorite bit ever. Just Tyler Rooks there say the craziest thing possible, which you know what, I get it, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that series progresses. The other fun series might as well stay out west. How about this Denver Clippers series so far? Tied at 1-1, and it's just been utterly fantastic through the first two games. Turns out Kawhi Leonard is still that guy. Masterclass in game 2.
I said, Brett, on Wire2Wire last Wednesday, we talked about what series we were most looking forward to. And, you know, Bill and Cottrell, they talked about Pistons Knicks. They talked about Warriors Rockets. I said that the series I'm most looking forward to is Clippers Nuggets, because this is I don't know who wins the series. I don't know. Is Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray going to turn it on and have that big jump in the playoffs like they do? Or are you going to get Toronto Raptors Kawhi Leonard? Are you going to get Norman the Floorman? Are you going to get Zubac continue? If Zubac continues to play the way, like we talk about Kawhi Leonard, right? If Zubac continues to play the way he's playing in this series, the Clippers will win the series. I don't know what happened to this man's touch for the last 3 years, but he has become like, it's like he's in the gym every day working on his touch, because the improvement this man's made in the last 3 years on his touch around the rim is insane. He'll throw up a ball. I'm like, that's a weird shot. And go right in. Like the angles in which he shoots the ball, I'm like, that's not a good shot. And it's perfect. I love where the Clippers are at. And I think Ty Lue is one of the best coaches in basketball. So I picked the Clippers before the series, but it's the most fun series to watch.
Agreed. It's funny because when we did N1, me and Brett got into it, and I told Brett, I think this is the 7-game series in the first round, and I honestly don't know who's going to win. To me, it's a toss-up. It really is. You're looking at the dynamic duo of Harden, Kawhi versus Jamal Murray and Joker. Joker can still be the best player in this series, but to your point, if Zubac is going to almost match him in terms of what he does, it almost nullifies what Joker does. Now, Zubac's not going to be high in assists, but I'm talking about Zubac is giving you 18 and 12, getting 3 blocks. I think ultimately this is going to come down to, can Denver get any production from their bench? Because it's been non-existent. Even when they won, the overall bench wasn't good. And if you're going to rely on Russ to be the counterpoint for your bench, that is a roller coaster ride. It will continue. Russ looks great one moment, and then a couple of possessions later, you're wondering why he's on the floor. I just don't think Denver has enough. I think Joker would have to be even better than he's been for them to win this series outright. But I'm here for it. I think this is a 7-game series.
Is my man Kyle in the chat? I'm hoping Kyle Edwards in the chat.
I was saying, he was in here earlier.
We only got 5 minutes left, but I wanted to get this out because I won't be able to talk. Maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow, but a little bit more in depth. Did y'all see Al Horford's comments?
I didn't.
Al Horford was irked by the lack of physicality. Tatum doubtful for game 2. I think you should look that up. And if you haven't looked it up, I think someone needs to let Al Horford know that they're in a playoff series. And Al Horford's been in plenty of playoff series. So I don't understand. Like, he's talking about the way the Magic played with KCP and Wendell Carter, the way they played with, like, physical with Tatum. Bro, I don't know what to tell you, man. That's the Magic's only chance to win this series. I'm not saying to go out and hurt people. And were the Magic physical in the series, and they kept that game a game for 3 quarters, 2.5 quarters, that was a game. I'm not saying the Magic have any chance to win this series. But if I'm the Magic and this is my opportunity, I'm going to be physical. And I got the guys to do it. We think about the Magic. We think of Paolo Banchero. We think of Franz Wagner. But the thing we don't think of when we think of the Magic is they got a lot of goons, man. They got a lot of tough guys. A lot of guys that will go in there and beat you up. And KCP is one of them. And Wendell Carter Jr. is another one. And look, by all means, let Paolo and Franz do the scoring. We're going to handle the paint. We're going to handle the physicality. I think Al Horford needs to remember you're in the NBA playoffs, and physicality is the thing.
And the play that like Tatum got hurt on too, it's not like the I didn't think that there was anything egregious about it. I just thought it was, I think it was KCP and I think it was Wendell Carter, just they tried to go up and block him and they went for the ball, but unfortunately Tatum ended up taking a nasty fall. So I didn't think there was anything malicious they were trying to do either. So I don't understand the complaining, because at the end of the day, the refs are going to swallow their whistle. It is that time of year, so you just got to be ready for the physicality. Les, I don't think the Magic are playing dirty either.
I think they're playing to their strengths. They're a defensive team. They're a low-scoring defensive team. And if they want any chance in this series, they have to muck it up. If this is going to be just about skill and scoring, the Celtics sweep. If they want a chance, the Magic have to muck it up. They have to make it physical. They got to get in the Celtics' heads. I'm good with that. That they have to play to their strengths. That is your strength.
I love playoff basketball. Everybody talks about playoff hockey, and playoff hockey is great. Let me be very clear when I say this. But playoff basketball, it seems to me a lot more like 90s regular season basketball, where you start seeing real physicality and people really trying defensively. I love it.
Me too.
I love it.
I know we only got like a minute left. Listen, if the Knicks want to take Game 3 and moving forward, they're going to need more out of Karl Anthony Towns. You can't go into halftime with 10 points and end the game with 10 points. Karl Anthony Towns is not a good enough defender to make up for that. If he's not scoring, then his value just takes a massive hit. I love Shaq going, "Good job, Cat. You played like a real big man." And then somebody pointed out he didn't score in the second half, and he's like, "Oh, really?" Like if they want to, go calm back down and take Game 3, Cat's got to be a lot better than he was in Game 2.
I agree.
I don't know where Mikal Bridges gets off shooting 11 3-pointers.
That was crazy.
Like, what? Like, there's somebody who go back in time and let this dude know he's not 11 3. He's not a volume scorer. Sorry.
I'll just say this. The Knicks front court, Bridges, OG, and Towns, they didn't shoot any free throws. That's all I got to say. Your whole front court shot no free throws. Lack of aggression.
Ruthless aggression.
No, absolutely. And then that's about all the time we have for today, boys. Do y'all want to add in anything before we get up on out of here?
I will quickly. Tonight, Wire to Wire, me and Shally, Cottrell is on his cruise celebrating his anniversary. So we will be doing a draft tonight. We are going to do a full first round mock draft. I know Brett will be at the draft. And then tomorrow night, Wire to Wire will be doing our full draft watch along. While my man Guardy 3 is at the draft, we'll be live streaming. Mo, I hope you can join us. I know there's no N1 tomorrow night. I would love for you to hop on, even if it's for 20 minutes.
I will.
But at the end of the day, this is a very fun time for sports. NBA playoffs, NFL draft, this WrestleMania season just ended. I am fired up, baby.
Let's go.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Mo?
No. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire2Wire Network. Wire2Wire Network, we appreciate you.
And absolutely make sure to tune in to the Wire to Wire tonight, our NFL draft watch along tomorrow. I'll be, having to take a lot of pictures and videos. I'll be posting all about the NFL draft, from the draft. It's going to be a great time. Looking forward to it. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely appreciate it. And they'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend and have a fun draft.
Take care, y'all.